Hello, everybody. Patty here. Welcome to this episode of the Rockstar Manifestors podcast. I am talking all about journaling. Not all about, I'm talking about journaling this episode and focusing on a specific aspect because journaling is something that you will hear me talk about quite often and in various ways and different aspects of journaling because that's how I incorporate it into my life. I do lots of different things about it. So let's get started. First off, right now is October 2024, and October is National Journal Writing Month. And that is one of those days of the year that are recognized, like if you look on the days of the year calendar type of thing. And so this happens, National Journal Writing Month happens 4 times a year. The first month of each quarter is recognized as National Journal Writing Month. So most definitely in those months, you will hear me talk about journaling and probably some other times throughout as well. So with that being said, it really doesn't mean anything specific. It's just a great opportunity to talk about it. And so October can be a perfect time, a great time to dive into journaling if you haven't done that yet. If it's something that you've been wanting to do, maybe it is also a way to refresh or add to the journaling practice you already have. And it's just a great time-wise because the last quarter of the year, October through December, coincides. If you look at it cyclically, it's obviously the fall season, which if you align that with the lunar cycle, which is something you will hear me talk about as well, it coincides with the third quarter phase of the lunar cycle. And this is the time to dream and imagine and what life could be like, what you could be experiencing, what could be possible. And so this is a very dreamy and exciting time of year. It's also a great time to work on vision boards, which is another thing I love, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole in this episode. So journaling, it's not just writing down like what you had for breakfast or a recap of your day. That is a type of journaling. Don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing. It's just not only that. It's not the Dear Diary or the documentation of your day, kind of just to keep a track or keep a record of what your days are like, or a recap of what happened if you're doing it kind of at the end of the day. That's not the only thing journaling. We're talking about, or what I'm focusing on is transformative, meditative, possibly life-altering, or possibly, to change, a good way to help change circumstances or things that you don't currently like the way they are. It really can be a tool to help you do all of these things. And so if this sounds like a great thing, hang around. Hang around. See if I can get my words out today. And start to imagine a new way of being, reignite your journaling, or dive into a brand new practice. So journaling is meditation. I did talk about that a little bit getting into this episode. And so for those of you who have a difficult time or find it challenging to start or stick with or even have a meditation practice because maybe you think it's something that you have to sit and be still and quiet for whatever amount of time, from 30 seconds to, an hour, or who knows what concepts people also have of that, or that you have to do meditation in a certain way, or you have to get a specific thing out of meditation. That's not true. There is more than one way to do anything, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure there's more than one way to do just about anything, and finding what works for you and incorporating new things into it may be the thing that helps you stick with it, helps get back to it, helps you maybe amp it up or take it to the next level, or simply incorporate some variety because maybe one way does work for you, but you just, like a variety. I am one of those people that loves meditation. I do the traditional, sitting and, quietly, or sitting and listening to music, but journaling has also become a meditation practice, and that is fairly new, where I actually put those concepts together. And I will be honest, the place that I heard about this concept is from a book called The Artist's Way. And so I'll link the information to that book if it's something you're curious about. And I might just actually do like a review, like a walk through the book or review on a future episode, because I'm currently going through that book right now. So I'm not gonna again go into that rabbit hole. So, but journaling allows you to get into a flow or into a zone, if you will, where your mind doesn't necessarily have to be quiet or calm, which is, I think, one of the challenges of traditional or standard meditation, that we think our mind tends to wander. But what really happens, if you allow it to, or give yourself the time to develop this, when you start writing, your brain doesn't always have to be in charge of what you're writing. You get into this flow where it actually just starts to come out, and thoughts that are kind of ruminating in your head come out through you as you write on the paper, without you intentionally writing it, if you will, right? It's not like you're saying, I'm going to write these, steps to this recipe or steps to this process. It's not prescriptive what you're going to write. It's just allowing what is in your head and what is kind of rolling around in there. I like to think of it kind of like as a tornado of thoughts. They come up around, you're like, oh yeah, that. And then it goes around and other thoughts, pop up, and then you're like, oh yeah, that, because it comes around again. So it's like, that's how I visualize it. Anyway, when you have these thoughts going around and you're trying to remember them, and new ones are getting sucked into this tornado. So it's a great way to just let those thoughts come out, let the information or the insight or the ahas that you're having about life, about yourself, about what you want, and you don't really have the conscious awareness of that. And so those things come out when you just start writing and allow whatever comes out to come out. You learn a lot about yourself, and it calms your mind in that sense of you're not thinking about what you have to write or what needs to be written. You simply start to allow what needs to come out, or what wants to come out, or what is going to come out to do so. And so it does, in a sense, quiet your mind, because it just goes along as a passenger and starts observing what is happening instead of being in the driver's seat and trying to control what is happening. And so that also helps connect you to your vision and your desires and things maybe that you once wanted but had let those slip by the wayside or didn't really remember. These things start to come up, and you start to revisit them, because you're allowing yourself to, you're allowing them, actually. You're allowing these thoughts and desires and old things that you hadn't considered for a while. You're allowing them the space and the time and the opportunity to come back around. And so, like I said, I recently kind of put this together as a journaling being a meditation practice. And I had an experience with that. Also in the book, The Artist's Way, is she talks about the practice of morning pages, whereas you write 3 pages every morning. And if you don't know what to write, you just write what comes to mind. And I mean, if you don't know exactly what to write, you start that. I don't know what to write. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. That's how you start to let your brain ease back. You just start writing, and then all of a sudden it starts into, oh, these thoughts are coming up, and that starts the process. And who knows, from where you start to where you end up in your morning pages can be quite the journey. Or it might be a lot of, silliness, or a lot of stuff that you didn't even plan on writing, obviously. But my experience with that this week specifically was that what I realized when I was doing my morning pages, I tended to say, oh, I just got to get through it. I have to get through it. And what am I going to write about? So I realized I was actually having this process, or this experience of my brain still wanting to finish, and like, oh, it's taking too long. Just hurry up and write. And being very much aware of that, I am writing, but that I needed to hurry. Why did I need to hurry? I don't know. I work from home. I set my own schedule. There's nothing that I need to hurry to do, but my brain wanted to go faster. Just hurry up and get done. And when I realized that, I stopped myself and I took some deep breaths, just deep breaths. I didn't change anything, just kind of reshifted my energy and just I even wrote that out, that I am reshifting my energy by breathing, and I'm taking some breaths to recalibrate my focus and to simply remind myself to go slow and allow what comes up. So I wrote something along those lines. So I was writing what was actually happening. And I noticed when I did that, I allowed myself to feel that feeling of anxiousness or like I needed to hurry. And then I said, okay, I'm going to choose to change that. And I'm going to go slow. I'm going to write slower. I'm going to focus on breathing instead of what time it is or how long this is taking. And what I saw was my handwriting actually changed. When I was fast, it was like harder to read. Sometimes the letters got really jumbled together and I could read it, but it wasn't very clear or pretty handwriting. It looked fast. It looked like I was writing fast. And then when I took those breaths and I noticed or I slowed down on purpose, then my handwriting also seemed to soften. And I realized that my hand was not getting as tired because when I was trying to write fast, I was gripping the pen harder. And when I took the time and intentionally wrote slower and wrote things out as they were coming to my head instead of trying to be 3 steps ahead of what I was writing and what I would be writing, it became easier. And then I noticed a few minutes in that I started kind of feeling like I needed to rush again. And I did that process again. And that's what meditation is. When you sit and do meditation the traditional way and your mind or your thoughts wander, it's catching them and bringing them back, catching them, letting it go, and quieting again. So I was doing the exact same thing as I was writing. So I realized this really is an excellent meditative practice because I'm actually physically doing something. I'm not going to get fidgety while I'm sitting there trying to be quiet because my hand is doing something. I'm in the practice of writing, and I can notice when I start to write fast, when my hand starts to tighten, and notice the difference that I experience. And all of a sudden I was at the end of my 3 pages and it was like, wow, why do I need to rush? Why? And that's just the habit. That's what my brain was used to doing. I had to intentionally shift that. I had to intentionally make that change. And it became more apparent to me when I noticed that as I was writing, I was trying to hurry. So that is my personal example of how journaling can be a meditative practice and the benefits and how that does correlate to journaling and meditation. So next, like shifting to the next, going on from there is reclaiming your power through journaling. And that might also sound a little bit like, wait, what do you mean by that? Just by writing, I'm reclaiming my power. And that I love to incorporate music references and I incorporate music in a lot of what I do. And I have a Manifesting Songs playlist available for you guys that I've made. And so I use that as a reference because that's just kind of like the vibe and the energy and what I really like. And so journaling is really your backstage pass to learning who you are, becoming the rock star of your life, which isn't something I talk about a lot as well, and becoming who you are by writing it out on paper. What type of person do you want to be? What type of life do you see yourself having? How do you want to be the person that reacts to certain situations? Or how do you want to present yourself and walk through life? You can start reclaiming that power by writing it out in your journal first and getting very clear on what it is that you want versus what others are expecting of you, or what you believe you need to do based on society's expectations, or how you need to come across based on others' expectations of yourself. You get to know what you truly want, who you truly want to be. And that is very empowering. That is an empowering practice because once you actually identify that and get clear on it, then you start embodying it and start showing up as that person because you know what that is that you want. and it feels good to you. Even if it's scary and challenging at times, it feels good because it's coming from you and you're not trying to fit yourself into a mold or an expectation of someone else that really doesn't fit you. So that is the empowering part of it. You start to get very clear, and that allows you um, to really recognize that you can step into and start embodying that version of yourself. You visualize, scenarios. You write scripts. If you're familiar with the scripting journaling method, you write scripts of what you want your life to look like. You write a script of how how you want to live your life, what your lifestyle is that you are stepping into, and it starts becoming more and more real because you think about it, you write it, you envision it, and you start to feel it. And that's really where the magic happens, when you connect to that feeling and let that feeling guide you. And writing, aka journaling, is an amazing way to really tap into those emotions and get clear on what feeling it is that you are after. What is that feeling that's guiding your desires if you haven't consciously identified it yet? So very empowering to get to know yourself and to get clear on what it is that you really want so that you can start actually creating that for yourself. Think of it like as every journal entry, or every time you get this, it's like a power move. It's moving you closer to that reality and making it more and more real for yourself. And that's what manifesting is. It's something that comes from within your head, an idea, an imagination, a desire, and it lives inside your head. And then manifesting is actually the process of making it a reality where you're living it, experiencing it, seeing it, smelling it, touching it, all the things. That is what manifestation is. And so I mentioned and referenced the scripting journaling method, and that is really great because you write the things that you want to be experiencing, the things that you want to change about yourself or circumstances that you have, and you write it in the present tense like a script of a movie or a play or anything along those lines. And also, that when scripts get written or when books get written, there isn't the first thing that's written is very often not what it looks like at the end. There's editing involved. There's rewrites. There's like, oh, this, I didn't realize this until I wrote it out, that this doesn't play out quite the way I thought it would. And so there's like a rewriting and an editing process. And knowing that you can do that as well, that just because you write a certain desire down or what you think you want, and it's not written in stone. You can edit that. You can revisit it based on things that you learn about yourself along the way, based on things that you learn by taking action and actually trying something. It gives you information, but you'll never figure it out simply by thinking it through and trying to imagine it without any action. And journaling can help you take that action because you can write it down. You can write the script of what it looks like or what you think it will look like to take that action. And that will help you because you have a script to follow that you have written. And if you need to edit it or rewrite it along the way, that is still 1,000 times better than not doing anything at all. It's actually, I think it's important that you do change and edit along the way based on the information that you get by taking action and by trying it. So putting pen to paper is this process. I like to think of it as like an energy flow. Like I said, manifesting is something from within your head, an idea, an imagination, and a desire, thinking, oh, what if that? Or, oh, I wonder if, like those types of things. That's energy inside your head, inside of you. And then as you start to write, I like the physical act of writing with a pen or pencil or whatever onto paper, the physical act of writing. I really envision that as energy going from your head down through out your arm and then through the pen or pencil, the ink, the lead onto the piece of paper. And that is magical, at least the way I see it. That is very magical. And it's this energy you're giving breath to this energy. You're giving it the space to expand and form and mold into what it will eventually become. And all of it is part of the process. And you ultimately control the story. You can write the chapter one way, rewrite it a different way, add to, the context in the following chapter. It really is completely up to you. And that's another way that journaling is very empowering or can be empowering. So, how do you get started? How do you start if you haven't done it, or if it's something that you have tried but has not worked for you in the past? Again, don't overthink it. The smallest step or the simplest way is usually the best way to get started. And so I love to say that your journal will never judge you. Your journal is there waiting for you and will continue to wait for you and will travel along with you, or whatever it is that you do with your journal, without judging you. When you open a page and it's been a month or a week or even longer, a year longer since you've written in it, your journal is not going to judge you. That comes from thoughts that we have, right? Your journal will never judge you. Your journal will always be there for you, and it will be your best confidant if you let it. It will not betray your secrets. It is there for you. And so simply just start, whatever that looks like. It can be with writing 3 things that you're grateful for every morning. It can be at the end of the day, writing something something good that happened that day. But connecting it to the scripting, you can start in the morning and say how you want your day to go. How do you want to feel that day? And use that feeling as your guide and just document your feeling. Today, I want to feel this way, and 3 things I can do to feel that way throughout the day. That's journaling, and that's scripting in a very simple starter form, if you will. I want to feel this way, and these are 3 things I'm going to do today to feel that way, and write out what those things are, maybe when you're going to do them. And that's how you get started. It really is the commitment to start it and to stick with it and to come back to it when you do fall off or when you don't stick to it as routinely as you would like, because it's a practice. Doing something new and making something a new habit takes practice. It's not going to happen from one day to the next. It needs to build to become a habit. So you need to commit to starting, and you need to commit to showing up. And if every day doesn't work for you, start once a week. Start a couple times a week. Start and build up to where you want to be. It doesn't have to be full go or full-fledged or all the way right from the beginning. And if you're looking for a way to help you get started, I have the Manifesting Me with Music Challenge. It is complete. It's a digital product. You get 30 days of journal prompts that come from song lyrics, and also a scripting prompt that you can script your day or whatever the prompt is. And in addition, you get an action step to take. And so you get lifetime access to the materials. It's 30 days of prompts, and you can do it over and over or once a year, however you see fit. And it's a great way to start because it gives you a daily prompt, and it gives you that 30 days of material that you don't have to come up with the prompt. You don't have to come up with what to write about. You simply follow the prompt, and this is a perfect way to get started in developing that habit. And so you can get that. The information will be somewhere around the show notes or links around if you want that. And the last thing I'll say about that is whenever you start is your day one. It is not tied to a specific day of the week or day of the month. It simply starts at day one, and you can jump in whenever that is for you and join the community and share when your day one is. And so people are at different places. Some are starting, some are in the middle, some are ending, some are redoing it. So any day is your day one. Any day is a great day to start, is a perfect day to start. And so I encourage you to check it out. Or if the challenge is not for you, set your own challenge and set your reminders on your phone to do your journaling, at whatever level you're starting with, whether it's daily, if it's morning or evening, or once a week on Sundays, or Mondays, you're going to journal for the week ahead. whatever that looks like for you, and put it on your calendar and get started. And if you do start, share with us, share on, on social media, tag Blue Moon Manifestations. If you're in our community at any point, just share that and we will support you along the way. So, get to journaling. Journaling can be a meditative practice and is a great way to write your reality into existence. So that's what I have for you today, and I will see you next week. Take care.